My name is Philip Bethune. I am the Lodge Advisor for Santee Lodge, and I want to welcome you to our 2019 Broken Arrow Ceremony celebrating the life of Richard Dick Huggins. At this time I'd like to read a little bit of the bio. You got it in your program, but Richard Dick Huggins, he was a graduate of the Spartanburg College from 1951 to 1954. The U.S. Army from 1954 to 1956, University of South Carolina, 1956 to 58. He was a field executive, or scout executive for the PD Area Council in 1958. Camp Coker Camp Director, 62 and 63. He was Vigil Honor with Santee Lodge 116 in 1964. His district executive with Indian Waters Council in Columbia from 65 to 68. He's a camp director for Camp Barstow in Columbia in 1967. He was a senior district executive and field director with PD Area Council in 1968 through 70. He left the Boy Scouts employment and became a volunteer in scouting. He was Scoutmaster of Troop 402 in Highland Park United Methodist in Florence, and he was the Scoutmaster from 78 to 88. He had 20 Eagle Scouts, and he also was honored with the Silver Beaver Award. He went back to employment with the PD Area Council as a senior district executive from 88 to 94. He then retired from the BSA in 94 and was a troop committee member for Troop 396 at Murrells Inlet, South Carolina from 94 to 2004. And sadly, Dick died in August 4th of 2018. At this point, I'd like to start our celebration of the Broken Arrow Ceremony. So our principals can come up.
Order. We are members of Santee Lodge, number 116, Order of the Arrow. The Order of the Arrow is a society of members of the Boy Scouts of America who have been recognized by their fellow scouts for their outstanding devotion to the high ideals of the Scout Oath and law. Its foundation is brotherhood and cheerful service, modeled after the Delaware Indian tribe. We have come to pay our final tribute to our departed brother. Peace, my brothers of the arrow. Of this lodge and humble tribe, bear with me this obligation to our brother gone before us on the trail of fulfillment. He who camped and served among us, he who always stood beside us, now has left his earthly trail. For the trail of his maker. Let us in our hearts and minds remember he who was our brother on earth. Forever in spirit, Brother Dick Huggins will be among us.
As a symbol of our order, the arrow has been fitly chosen. It must be straight, its point keen, aim high, its course undeviating, its direction onward and upward. It, therefore, has been chosen as a symbol of leadership. The breaking of this arrow is a symbolic end of strife and the beginning of peace.
great master, hear us in our thoughts this evening, in our final tribute to our brother. He who loved the haunts of nature, loved the moonlight on the water, loved the sunshine on the meadow, loved the shadow of the forest, loved the wind among the pine trees, loved the rushing of great rivers, loved the thunder of the mountain, loved all of nature in its splendor, found in nature his duty to man, and pledged himself to cheerful service, serving his brothers and his fellow man. Rest, brother, we've known you well indeed, and now in peace you'll sleep. You have done your work, and it's done as well, so none of us need weep. In scouting, we will miss your smile and your friendly hand clasp, but your master will guide your steps and point you the way for you.
So may it be. Will Dick Huggins' sons please come forward to speak of their father?
We're very honored and pleased to be here with you today. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy weekend, and just to honor the memory of our father. He loved this camp. He raised us here. It was a wonderful, special place and wonderful memories. It's been so great today walking around, just reliving memories and experiences that we had as boys here growing up and as men coming back here. Last August, when we were preparing for my dad's funeral, we got talking a lot about memories and his life, and the word legacy was thrown out. The legacy he left of the 3 sons who are Eagle Scouts, a grandson who's an Eagle Scout, and all of his grandchildren who just grew up to be such fine, wonderful people. My daughter's here representing them today. We thought about the legacy that his life meant and the legacy he left behind as he passed through his world. And then I got thinking about the scouting program and how it gives us an opportunity to extend our legacy beyond our immediate family and to reach out to other young people all around us. And through scouting, through the Peer Council, through Camp Coker, what a huge impact one man can have on the lives of hundreds of thousands and hundreds of thousands of young men as it propagates through the people he touches. And I had the opportunity today to speak to several of you who credit my dad with recruiting you into scouting and blame him for all the sleepless nights and cold beds and wet sleeping bags and everything else, and that's fine. It made me think back to a time my dad was first getting sick. He went to a doctor in Florence, a neurologist, Dr. John Docherty. Some of you may know Dr. Docherty. He's now retired. Neurologist there in Florence, and while I was in the office with Dad that day, Dr. Docherty was bragging on Dad a little bit and said that Dad had actually got him started and got him interested in becoming a doctor. Because in 1962, he was 14 or 15 years old. My dad hired him to be a CIT here at Camp Coker. And for a couple weeks that summer, he taught first aid merit badge. The next summer, he came back full time and taught first aid merit badge all summer and hung out around the first aid lodge and helped out with the camp medic. And in the coming years, he came back and finally became the camp medic for a while. And he went on to medical school and had a career as a physician, and not only treated people in and around the Florence area, but traveled the world with Doctors Without Borders and saw countless thousands of people that he treated and made a difference in their lives because of the impact he had through scouting. It started him on that career. And now his son, I'm pretty sure his name's Harold, he's a physician as well, and that legacy is continuing on. And I hear others of you talk about my dad and the difference he made in your life, and now think about the impact each one of you had on countless young people that you've led, and the legacy just expands and it progresses and it grows and propagates itself through. And so I just thank God for the wonderful experience of scouting and the difference it makes through each of us as we pass on that experience to younger generations and younger generations. So it's very appropriate and beneficial to stop at a time like this and think back to the people that made a difference. When we were going through my dad's effects, we found a letter, and he kept a lot of stuff he collected. But some things he kept in a very special place, and one of the things we found was the letter that Bill Stallworth wrote to him in 1958, offering him the job as a district executive or a field scout executive back then to start to work for the PD area council at the time as a field scout executive. And you'll believe this or not, his annual salary was like $4,800 a year to work for the Boy Scouts of America. And they did it. And but that's a real special piece of the document we held on to. But he held on through all these years. It's how he got started. And some of you may not know Bill Stallworth, but he's the man that the lodge up front's named after. He was a scout executive here then, back in the late 50s. That did a lot of work in camp and rebuilt this camp back in those days. So we just feel extremely blessed to have been a part of the scouting program and the things that shaped our lives. And I'll just speak for Randy real quick. My youngest brother Randy can't be here today. He wanted to be, but his son, who's also an Eagle Scout, is right about now getting on a plane in Charleston to fly to Iceland for a week to hike glaciers and do geologic studies or something with the class he's taking at the College of Charleston. So they're headed off to a wonderful adventure there as well. But that's been planned for a year, and he couldn't change it. But he certainly sends his greetings and well wishes and appreciation as well. But again, thank y'all so much for taking time out to honor our dad. We love this place. We love each of you for doing that. And we love the memories we've had here. Robert, anything, man?
I'll try to add a couple things. He got the brains of the bunch, so it's kind of tough to follow that. He talks much more goodly than I do. So, my goal was to get through it without crying. I'm kind of the emotional one in the bunch. But when I heard about the thing today, I know that that we couldn't wait to get here. And just walking around, I don't have anything prepared to say, but something just made me think. He talked about legacy. Made me reflect that some people that had a legacy on my dad. A bunch of y'all probably know, about half of y'all probably know Mr. Lucas Shoemake. This goes way back. He was the camp ranger way back in the day with the old Ford F-100, 3-on-the-tree truck he drove around, rusting apart and everything. Great old guy. He was one of the first men I met when I was a little tiny kid, and Daddy drug us all around Camp Coker, everywhere else we went with scouting. And Lucas Shoemake, a great man. I remember we talked about this morning walking around over there by the chapel. Just a great, godly, Christ-centered, servant kind of a guy, and about how he would get up there and preach, and just preach, and he would hold that Bible up and just preach. And my daddy told me later on, years later as an adult, Mr. Shoemake couldn't read, but he knew his word. And he'd open that Bible up and just go. And it was just amazing. And anyway, I figured that's probably the kind of man that pushed my dad towards what he did. So then it's pretty cool to see Dad's legacy keeping on. And it's so good to be at camp where Daddy taught me how to swim right over here. I mean, just little things like that. I can remember like it was yesterday, holding me up. I can remember building our troop 402 in Florence. Always camped over at Holiday Campsite. And my daddy led up the effort to build that shelter over there. And my daddy, remember back in the old CB radio craze back in the 70s and 80s? Well, Daddy's handle was the bargain hunter. He was a yard sale and fool son. And he could squeeze $1 out of a nickel, And we were talking during lunch, y'all. Every bit of that material for that shelter was donated. We went to Lake City, I think, and tore down old farmers' couple tobacco barns, and we got somebody to donate and put those creosote posts in the ground to build a shelter. And anyway, my daddy would always find a way to make things happen, and he was a servant at heart. And I just credit him for, so much of what little I've gotten done. And think about being an Eagle, going through the OA here was just a huge part of my life. And, going through completing my vigil, I was talking to Walt Barefoot a minute ago and thinking about, I don't have any old vigil packages. Why don't I have any? And Walt told me, because they ran out, remember? And I'm thinking, God, it's been 30 years ago. Yeah, but you're right. We couldn't even buy any. So anyway, I have one that I misplaced. I found it somewhere that, my daddy gave me. And it was one of the old ones that I found out was worth a bunch of money. I will find it one day and never sell it, of course. But I'm just so thankful that y'all are here, and I appreciate y'all. I found out a lot this morning. I found out that another one of my dad's cohorts, mentors with cohorts, is Mr. Duffy over here. I can remember as a little kid, Mr. Duffy, and he and my daddy were buddies, and I remember that. Mr. Jimmy was the one that suggested to get the ball rolling, to get the ceremony going, honoring his friend, my father. Thank you. Anyway, said I'm not going to cry, so I'm not. I think I'm going to go slow down now. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for honoring my father and just giving me a chance to come back here. I should have done years ago, just to walk around and just relive so many wonderful memories of my youth. Anyway, thank y'all for being here, guys.
Now, Mr. Larry Green would like to say a couple of words about Dick Huggins.
Perhaps from a different perspective of one who knew him as a volunteer as opposed to a son. We each have snapshots of memories in our lives, and I've got several that have to do with Mr. Huggins, with Dick. And one thing can sum him up, and that is his demeanor and attitude. He was the personification of being cheerful and supportive. And he'd motivate you. And he'd call you up I knew him when he was a district executive, senior district executive. So he's a senior D of Chicora, and I'm a brand new Cub Master back in 91 or so. And wow, the support he would give. He'd call you up and he'd say, "How you doing?" With this light coming out of his, I don't want to be too effusive about it, but it was all positive. And it was all so happy. And he'd come and he'd knock on your door, and he'd have his scout uniform on. He'd be wearing that everywhere. See, he's not self-conscious about that at all, being outside. He's always wearing that scout uniform. I remember one time I was given an opportunity to do the outdoor skills for the Weeblos. What they used to call that. Anyone remember? Weeblos outdoor training, whatever it was called. He came right along. And I remember one thing he said that still sticks out today. In his supportive way, if you're going to do your dishes, always make sure you do your dishes. Even if you don't have hot water, it's better to do it in cold water than not at all. Very logical gentleman. Very, very happy man. Without a break. He was always, at least that's how he presented himself to us. Always cheerful, which is very, very, very good way to be, right? So, I'm sure many people here have wonderful memories of Dick Huggins. Outstanding DE. God bless it. So, and by the way, Ricky, your haversack from when you were a scout somehow ended up in my possession. I don't know if your father just gave it to me one time, because he'd always give, all of the unit leaders would get something from the yard sales. If a troop didn't have something, they'd find a way to get it through Dick Huggins. So I don't know where that is now. It still might be in an old scout trailer somewhere, hanging up with a bunch of tent stakes or something in it as a receptacle. So anyway, I'm sure there's other people who have something to add with their memories. At least I assume there is. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Would anybody else like to say anything? Mr. Leslie? MacGyver.
I did not come prepared to say anything, but I've known him for a long time. Rick, your dad and I were real close. And I don't want to be racist here at all, but Black Scouting was something that he wanted to promote. We were elevated to have one of the best I'm trying to think of the scouting term that we had when we were coming along. But anyway, we had one of the best in the area down in Horry County, Camp Enfico. I don't know whether you remember those times or not, but that was all the work of Dick Huggins, pushing. I would not be where I am now. And do you see what is happening to me? I have a son who's taken over and promoting the Eagle Scouts that we talked about a long time ago. Thank you, Kenneth, and you must feel the weight of Dick Huggins on your back, too. I didn't come prepared in a unified way to say this. The Explorer post we had was one of the best in the area. And we promoted that. He took us on those treks in the mountains. And just so many things that it's bubbling up in my brain right now until they're getting on top of one another. But I enjoyed knowing him. And Rick and brother, daughter, you had a wonderful man to remember. And we in scouting have a wonderful memory of a man who was truly a scouter, and he believed in scouting. Thank you very much for this opportunity to just say a word.
All right, Mr. Brock's going to come down and take.
He was a great man, and I'm in scouting today because of that. I know when I retired military, I had 32 years in the military, and when I got discharged from the military in '64, I came home. I've been wearing the uniform for 9 years, and our church had a Boy Scout troop, and I was talking with him one day, and he said, "Roger, you need to be a scout leader." I said, No. I've had 9 years in the Air Force, don't want to be a scout leader. He said, "But I wore a uniform all that time. I took pride in it." And I said, "Well, if I join as a scout leader, committee member, could I wear a uniform?" Let's tell you how ignorant I was about scouting. I never was a Boy Scout. I was a Cub Scout in Conway in 1945. And he said, "Yes, you can wear a uniform. We expect you to wear a uniform. If you're a scout leader, you need to wear the uniform." I said, "Sign me up." So I signed up. And it's 50 years this year. And but he's a great man, and like you said earlier, someone said earlier that he's active. And my brother was in the scouting for years and years, and he got out of the scouting. And we had a camporee at Myrtle Beach, and my brother was heavy in blacksmithing. You know, he had to, what you call it, and he would take steel and beat it out and make different ornaments. And Dick came to me and he said, "Roger, you think your brother can put on a demonstration at camporee at Myrtle Beach?" It's North Myrtle Beach. Blacksmithing. I said, "I don't know. I tried to get him to come back in. He wouldn't do it." I said, "If you talk with him, I'm sure you can talk him into it." And he went to him and talked with him, and my brother carried all of his furnace and that stuff, you heat it up and stuff. And he put on the demonstration how to make stuff out of at the campery, Shakora campery. And he talked my brother into it. And because they had a great relationship with him, but he's a great man. And I'm here today because of him. Thank you very much.
Anyone else like to share? All right, well, I'd like to thank you for coming out today and celebrating Dick Huggins and with our Broken Arrow ceremony, and take your time, walk around Camp Coker, enjoy the memories. Our lodge store in the 08 hut is open if you'd like to look at some, so we have big vigil patches too. You can take a look at those. But enjoy yourselves. It's a beautiful afternoon, and youth, it's time to practice for Dixie, so get ready